Amara Cole thought the night of the gala would launch her career, until a careless white socialite's microphone-amplified insult about black skin turned her triumph into a public spectacle. She could have destroyed him with a single post, ruined his reputation with the video everyone was already sharing, but instead she did something far more dangerous. She gave him a chance to apologize. What started as damage control became something neither of them expected, a love story that would force them both to choose between the approval of their worlds and the truth of their hearts. But when the internet turns their relationship into a battleground and old wounds threaten to tear them apart, Amara has to decide, is love worth the cost when the whole world is watching? Subscribe right now and comment below if you've ever had to choose between your heart and what everyone else expected of you. Because this story is about to show you what real courage looks like. The crystal chandeliers caught the light just right, throwing soft golden patterns across the polished marble floor of the Atlanta Grand Hotel ballroom. Amara Cole stood in the side entrance, smoothing down the front of her gown one last time. The fabric, a gold amber silk she'd spent 3 weeks perfecting, felt like liquid sunshine against her brown skin. "You ready?" Talia whispered beside her, adjusting the portfolio bag on her shoulder. Amara took a breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." This wasn't just any event. The Spring Heritage Gala drew Atlanta's elite, old money, new money, and everyone trying to look like they had money. For a young designer like Amara, being chosen to present her collection here meant everything. It meant she'd finally stepped into rooms that usually kept their doors closed to people who looked like her. "Remember?" Talia said, squeezing her arm. "You belong here. Your work is incredible." Amara smiled at her assistant, her friend, really. Talia had been there since the beginning, back when Amara was sewing in her grandmother's basement, dreaming of days like this. "I know," Amara said softly, and she did know. She'd worked too hard, sacrificed too much to doubt herself now. Inside the ballroom, soft jazz floated through the air. Women in designer gowns mingled with men in perfect tuxedos. Waiters moved smoothly between clusters of guests, offering champagne and tiny, expensive-looking appetizers. Everything sparkled. Everything looked effortless. Amara had learned long ago that effortless took the most effort of all. Near the bar, Ethan Whitmore laughed at something his friend Bradley said. He felt good tonight. The event was going smoothly. The donors were happy, and his mother would be pleased. As one of the event planners, Ethan had spent weeks making sure every detail was perfect. The lighting, the flowers, the guest list. Everything had to shine. "Honestly, though," Bradley continued, adjusting his bow tie, "these photos better turn out good. I'm not trying to look washed out." "You'll be fine," Ethan said, sipping his drink. "The photographer knows what she's doing." Marcus, another friend from Ethan's country club days, leaned against the bar. "Some people just photograph better than others. It's about contrast, you know. Some tones are just harder to make elegant." Ethan nodded absently, only half listening. "Yeah, lighting matters. Like black skin needs the right light, you know." He said it casually, the way people said things they'd heard somewhere and never really thought about. The words left his mouth and floated into the air, mixing with the jazz and the laughter and the clink of glasses. What Ethan didn't notice was the microphone on the nearby stage. It wasn't turned up loud, but it was on, feeding through the room's speakers at a low hum. A few guests nearby paused mid-conversation. Someone's smile froze. An older black woman in a purple gown looked toward the bar, her eyebrows raised. Gavin Hart, the gala's PR manager, stood near the stage. His head snapped up. He'd heard it. Not everyone had. The music was loud enough, but enough people had. He saw heads turning, whispers starting. His phone was already in his hand. At the podium, the MC, a polished woman in her 50s, cleared her throat and smiled at the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your generous support tonight. We have a wonderful surprise for you." The lights dimmed slightly. A spotlight appeared near the main entrance. "Please welcome our featured designer for the evening, Amara Cole." The double doors opened. Amara stepped into the ballroom. For a moment, everything stopped. The gold-amber gown caught every light in the room. It hugged her curves perfectly, flowing down to the floor like melted honey. Her dark skin glowed against the warm fabric. Her hair was swept up in a sleek style that showed off her elegant neck and the simple gold earrings she wore, her grandmother's earrings, the ones she saved for special occasions. She moved with quiet confidence, her chin up, her smile soft and genuine. She didn't rush. She didn't perform. She just walked, and somehow that was enough to make people stare. Near the bar, Ethan's glass stopped halfway to his lips. He stared. She was stunning. Not just pretty, stunning in a way that made you forget what you were saying. The gown, the way she carried herself, the light in her eyes. Everything about her radiated something he didn't have a word for. Bradley whistled low. Wow. Who is she? Marcus asked. Ethan couldn't answer. He was too busy watching her cross the room, greeting the organizers with a warm handshake, laughing at something someone said. She looked comfortable. She looked like she belonged. And then, like ice water down his spine, Ethan remembered what he'd just said. Black skin needs the right light. His stomach dropped. Someone near him whispered, "Isn't she the designer? The one they've been talking about?" "She's gorgeous," someone else said. "That dress is incredible." Ethan felt his face go hot. He looked down at his drink, suddenly aware of how stupid he must sound. How stupid he did sound. Across the room, Amara had no idea. She was focused on the moment, on doing what she came here to do. Talia stood near the side wall, holding the portfolio and beaming with pride. "Ms. Cole," the MC said warmly, "we're so excited to have you here. Would you like to say a few words about your work?" Amara took the microphone with steady hands. She looked out at the crowd, hundreds of faces, most of them white, many of them curious. She smiled. "Thank you so much for having me," she began. Her voice was clear, confident, kind. "I grew up watching my grandmother sew. She used to tell me that elegance isn't about the fabric you wear, it's about how you wear your story." A few people nodded. A woman in the front row smiled. "My designs celebrate black women," Amara continued. "We are luxury, we are grace, we are every shade of beautiful, and we deserve to see ourselves that way." The applause started slow, then built. Several black women in the audience clapped louder, their faces bright. One older woman near the back stood up, and soon others joined her. Amara's heart swelled. This was why she did it, this exact feeling. Ethan clapped too, but his hands felt heavy. Her words echoed in his head. Every shade of beautiful. He'd said the opposite. He'd said it carelessly, thoughtlessly, like it was nothing. His phone buzzed. A text from Gavin. "We might have a sound issue. Lay low." Ethan's jaw tightened. So other people had heard. On stage, Amara pulled up a slideshow on the screen behind her. Photos of her designs appeared. Gowns in deep emerald, rich burgundy, midnight blue. Each one was modeled by a black woman, and each one looked breathtaking. "These aren't just clothes," Amara said softly. "They're statements. They say, I see you, I honor you, you are enough." The room erupted in applause again, louder this time. Ethan watched her step down from the stage, gracious and glowing. Guests surrounded her immediately, offering compliments and asking questions. She handled it all with warmth and ease. He wanted to go to her, to say, "What? I'm sorry I said something ignorant about people who look like you." That sounded even worse in his head. Talia appeared at Amara's side, handing her a glass of water. "You killed it," she whispered. "Thanks," Amara said, her smile genuine. "I was so nervous." "You didn't look it. You looked perfect." As they moved toward a quieter corner, a woman Amara didn't know approached. A guest in her 40s, white, with kind eyes. "That was beautiful," the woman said. "My daughter is going to love hearing about you." "Thank you," Amara said warmly. But as the woman walked away, Talia leaned in close. "Did you hear what that guy said earlier?" Amara blinked. "What guy?" "Some dude near the bar. He said something about, I don't know, lighting and skin tones." It sounded off. Amara's smile faded slightly. "What do you mean?" Talia pulled out her phone. "Someone sent me a video here." She handed the phone to Amara. The video was short, just 15 seconds. Shaky, filmed from across the room, but the audio was clear enough. "Black skin needs the right light, you know?" Amara's stomach tightened. She didn't recognize the voice, but she didn't need to. She'd heard comments like that her whole life. Little dismissals, little jabs. Things people said when they thought no one was listening, or when they thought it didn't matter. "Who said that?" Amara asked quietly. Talia zoomed in on the video, a young white man in a tuxedo standing near the bar. Handsome, confident-looking, laughing with his friends. "I think he's one of the event planners," Talia said. "I saw him earlier talking to the organizers." Amara handed the phone back. Her hands were steady, but something cold had settled in her chest. "Let it go," she said softly. "What?" "Amara, I'm not starting something tonight." Amara's voice was calm but firm. "I came here to present my work. I did that. I'm not going to let some careless comment ruin it." Talia looked like she wanted to argue, but she knew that tone. Amara had made up her mind. Still, as they walked back toward the main floor, Amara couldn't help scanning the crowd. Her eyes landed on the man from the video. He was staring at her. Their eyes met across the room. For a second, neither of them moved. Then Ethan looked away, his face flushing. Amara lifted her chin and turned back to her conversation with a donor, but her heart was beating faster now. He knew. Somehow he knew she'd heard. Near the stage, Gavin caught up with Ethan, pulling him into a quiet corner near the service hallway. "Okay," Gavin said, keeping his voice low. "That clip might spread. Not a disaster yet, but it could be. If it gets out online—" "I know," Ethan said tightly. "We need to control it. I'm thinking a quick photo, you congratulating her, maybe a handshake." "No," Gavin stopped. "What? I don't want a photo op," Ethan said. "That's fake. That's gross. Ethan, this is my job. I manage these things." "Then manage it without making her a prop." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "Can you get me her contact info?" Gavin raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because I want to apologize. For real. Not for a camera." For a moment, Gavin just looked at him. Then he nodded slowly. "All right, I'll see what I can do, but Ethan, don't wait too long. If someone posts that clip on something bigger than a private text chain, this gets harder." "I know." Ethan walked back into the ballroom, but he didn't rejoin his friends. He stood near the edge, watching Amara from a distance. She was talking to an older black couple now, laughing at something they said. She looked relaxed, happy. He'd almost ruined that. The thought sat heavy in his chest. When the gala finally started winding down, staff began clearing tables. Guests filtered toward the exits, calling for their cars. Amara stood near the coat check, sliding her portfolio into its bag, while Talia talked to one of the coordinators. Ethan saw his chance. He crossed the room before he could talk himself out of it. "Miss Cole?" Amara turned. Up close, she was even more striking. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent, her expression polite but guarded. "Yes?" Ethan swallowed. I wanted to congratulate you. Your presentation was incredible." "Thank you," she said evenly. There was a pause, an awkward, heavy pause. "I also—" Ethan hesitated. "Can I buy you a coffee? Tomorrow? I'd like to talk to you, properly." Amara studied him. She knew exactly who he was now. She'd seen the video. She'd heard what he said. And now he wanted to talk. Talia appeared at her side, protective. "You don't owe him anything," she said quietly. Amara didn't break eye contact with Ethan. "Why?" "Why what?" Ethan asked. "Why do you want to talk to me?" He could have lied, could have said something smooth, something easy, but the way she looked at him made lying feel impossible. "Because I said something stupid," he admitted. "And I think you heard it. And I'd like to apologize, not here, not with people watching, just person to person." Amara considered this. Part of her wanted to say no, to walk away and let him sit with his discomfort. But another part of her, maybe the part that remembered her grandmother saying people deserve a chance to do better, wanted to hear what he'd say when no one else was listening. "All right," she said finally. "Coffee, but I picked the place." Ethan's face relaxed slightly. "Of course. And this isn't about your image," Amara added. "I'm not fixing your reputation." "I understand." She pulled out her phone. "Give me your number." He did. She texted him an address, a small cafe in Midtown, and a time. 10 in the morning. "Don't be late," she said. "I won't." Amara turned and walked toward the exit with Talia at her side. Ethan stood there, phone in hand, watching her go. Outside the hotel, the Atlanta night was warm and breezy. Talia unlocked her car, and they both slid inside. "Are you sure about this?" Talia asked as she started the engine. Amara leaned her head back against the seat. "No, but I'm doing it anyway. What if he's just trying to save face?" "Then I'll know," Talia sighed. "You're too nice." Amara smiled faintly. "I'm not nice, I'm smart. If he's sincere, maybe he learns something. If he's not, I'll know to avoid him. And if he's somewhere in between." Amara didn't answer right away. She watched the city lights blur past the window. "Then maybe," she said softly, "we'll both learn something." Inside the hotel lobby, Ethan stood alone, staring at his phone. The address she'd sent was for a black-owned cafe he'd never heard of. Not his usual spots. Not his world. "Good." He texted Gavin. "No staged photos, I'm handling this myself." Gavin replied immediately. "Your funeral." Ethan pocketed his phone and headed for the exit. Tomorrow morning he'd have to face her, really face her. No crowd, no distractions, no easy escape. And for the first time in a long time, Ethan Whitmore wasn't sure what to say, but he knew he had to try. The next morning came too fast. Amara stood in front of her bathroom mirror, staring at her reflection. She'd barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard that line again. Black skin needs the right light. It wasn't the worst thing anyone had ever said about her or people who looked like her, not even close. But it stung because it was so careless, so easy. Like her beauty, her humanity, was a problem that needed fixing. You don't have to do this, she told herself. But she was already dressed, already ready to go. Talia had texted her twice already. You sure and want me to come with you? Amara replied, I'm sure and no, I've got this. The cafe, Mama J's Kitchen, was a cozy spot in Midtown, tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop. The walls were painted warm yellow, and the smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls hit you the second you walked in. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where the owner called you baby and meant it. Amara arrived first. She ordered a chai latte and sat at a small table near the window, her hands wrapped around the warm cup. At exactly 10 o'clock, Ethan walked in. He looked different in daylight, still handsome but more nervous. His hair wasn't perfectly styled. His shirt was casual, buttoned down, no tie. He looked like someone trying not to look like he was trying. Their eyes met. Amara didn't smile, but she nodded toward the chair across from her. Ethan sat down. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Thank you for meeting me, Ethan said finally. You said you wanted to apologize, Amara replied. Her voice was calm, steady. So apologize. Ethan took a breath. I'm sorry. What I said last night was ignorant and hurtful. There's no excuse for it. Amara waited. I grew up in spaces where people talk like that, Ethan continued. Country clubs, fundraisers, family dinners. People talk about things like lighting and skin tones and what photographs well, like it's neutral, like it's not about real people. But it is. It's always about real people, and I didn't think. I just repeated what I'd heard, and that was wrong. Amara sipped her tea. Do you know what it's like to walk into rooms like last night? Ethan shook his head. You're always the test, Amara said quietly. The test of whether they really meant diversity. The test of whether they're uncomfortable. The test of whether you belong. And most of the time people don't say anything out loud. They just look at you a certain way, or they're surprised you're articulate, or they compliment you like it's shocking that you're beautiful. Ethan's chest tightened. So when you say something like what you said near a microphone, Amara continued, you're not just being careless. You're confirming what I already know people think. You're proving the bias. I know, Ethan said quietly, and I'm sorry, truly. Amara set her cup down. Let me ask you something. Are you sorry because I heard it, or are you sorry because you said it? The question hung in the air. Ethan thought about it, really thought. Both, he admitted. I'm sorry you heard it, but I'm also sorry I believed it enough to say it in the first place. Even if you hadn't been there, it would still be wrong. Amara studied him. There was something raw in his face now, something real. Okay, she said softly. Okay, I believe you. Ethan exhaled, relief flooding through him. But Amara wasn't done. That doesn't mean I forgive you yet, she said. Apologies are easy. Anyone can say sorry. What matters is what you do next. I want to do better, Ethan said. Tell me how. I can't tell you how to fix yourself, Amara said. That's your work. But if you really want to understand, start by listening. Read. Learn. Don't ask black people to teach you. Do the work yourself, and don't expect a medal for it. Ethan nodded. I will. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, people walked past the window. Cars honked. Life kept moving. Can I ask you something? Ethan said. Sure. Why did you agree to meet me? Amara smiled faintly. Because my grandmother used to say people deserve a chance to do better. One chance. What they do with it is up to them. Ethan felt the weight of that. One chance. I won't waste it, he said. Amara picked up her tea. We'll see. They talked a little longer, about her work, about the gala, about nothing too heavy. When they finally stood to leave, Ethan walked her to her car. Can I see you again? He asked. Amara hesitated. Maybe. Let's see if you mean what you say. She got into her car and drove away, leaving Ethan standing on the sidewalk. He watched her go, something stirring in his chest. He didn't just want her forgiveness, he wanted to know her, and that realization scared him more than anything else. Amara pulled into the parking lot behind her studio, her mind still turning over the conversation at the cafe. Ethan had seemed genuine. That was the part that unsettled her most. It would have been easier if he'd been defensive or made excuses. She could have dismissed him then, filed him away as just another person who didn't get it. But he'd listened, really listened. Her phone buzzed as she unlocked the studio door. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you for giving me that chance. Ethan." She stared at the message for a moment, then pocketed her phone without responding. The studio was her sanctuary. Exposed brick walls, tall windows that let in perfect natural light, dress forms scattered throughout displaying her latest pieces. Fabric swatches covered one entire wall, a rainbow of textures and colors she'd collected over years. Her grandmother's old sewing machine sat in the corner, retired but never forgotten. Amara set her bag down and moved to her workstation. She had a commission due in 2 weeks, a wedding gown for a bride who'd specifically requested her after seeing her work at a boutique downtown. The base was done, but the beading would take days. She lost herself in the work, her hands steady as she threaded tiny glass beads onto silk. This was where she felt most herself, creating, building something beautiful from nothing. Hours passed. The afternoon sun slanted through the windows. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a message with a photo attached. Ethan had sent a picture of a book, "So You Want to Talk About Race" by Ijoma Oluo. The message read, "Starting here. Any other recommendations?" Amara stared at her phone. He was actually doing it, actually trying. She typed back, "The new Jim Crow, Between the World and Me, How to Be an Anti-Racist." His response came quickly. "On it. Thank you." Then another message. "Also, what's your brand name? I realized I never asked properly." Amara smiled despite herself. "Amara Cole Designs, ACC for short. It's beautiful. Like the work." She didn't respond to that, but something warm flickered in her chest. Talia burst through the door an hour later, carrying takeout bags. "I brought lunch, or dinner, whatever meal this counts as." "You're a lifesaver," Amara said, setting down her needle. They sat on the floor near the windows, containers of Thai food spread between them. The studio smelled like basil and lemongrass. "So," Talia said, twirling noodles around her fork, "how'd it go?" He apologized. "Seemed like he meant it." "Seemed like?" Amara shrugged. "I don't know. He said the right things, but words are easy. And you're smiling at your phone every 5 minutes, so—" Amara threw a napkin at her. "I am not. You literally just checked it again. He's asking for book recommendations. I'm being helpful." Talia raised an eyebrow. Helpful. That's what we're calling it. Don't start." "I'm not starting anything. I'm just saying, maybe he's serious." "Maybe," Amara said quietly. "But I've seen this before. People feel guilty, they read a book, they feel better, and then nothing changes." "True. But maybe he's different." Amara wanted to believe that, she really did, but hope felt dangerous right now. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a longer message. "I know I don't get to ask for more of your time, but would you be willing to show me your studio? I want to understand what I almost insulted. No pressure. I understand if the answer is no." Amara read it twice. Talia leaned over. "What did he say?" "He wants to see the studio." And I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why not?" Amara set her phone down. "Because if he comes here, it gets real. This space is mine. It's personal. Letting him in means something." Talia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Maybe that's exactly why you should let him come. If he can't respect this space, you'll know. But if he can, then what? Then maybe you give him that second chance." Amara thought about it while she finished her food. The studio was where she felt safest, most powerful. Inviting someone into that space meant trusting them not to diminish it. Finally, she picked up her phone and typed, "Tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Come alone." His response was immediate. "I'll be there. Thank you." The next day, Amara arrived at the studio early. She told herself it was because she had work to do, not because she was nervous. But she caught herself straightening fabric swatches that were already straight, rearranging dress forms that didn't need rearranging. "You're fidgeting," she muttered to herself. At exactly 2 o'clock, there was a knock on the door. Ethan stood outside, dressed simply in jeans and a grey Henley. No designer labels visible, no entourage, just him. "Hi," he said. "Hi." Amara stepped back. "Come in." He walked in slowly, his eyes moving around the space with genuine curiosity. He didn't rush, he didn't immediately start talking, he just looked. "This is amazing," he said finally. "Thank you." He moved to the wall of fabric swatches, running his fingers lightly over the textures. "How do you choose? With so many options?" "It depends on the person I'm designing for. Every fabric has a feeling. Silk feels like confidence. Velvet feels like richness. Cotton feels like comfort. I try to match the fabric to the story the person wants to tell. Ethan nodded, absorbing this. He moved to a dress form displaying a deep burgundy gown with gold threading along the bodice. "This is incredible," he said softly. "The detail. That one took me 3 weeks." Amara stood beside him. "Every stitch is by hand." "Why not use a machine?" "Because the customer deserves to know I put my whole heart into her dress. When she wears it, she's wearing my care. That matters." Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. "You don't just make clothes. You make art." "I make dignity," Amara said quietly. "I make moments where black women look in the mirror and think, yes, this is who I am." Something shifted in Ethan's expression. Understanding, maybe, or the beginning of it. He moved to her work table where sketches were scattered. "Can I look?" "Go ahead." He studied the drawings, gowns and suits and flowing designs that seemed to move even on paper. "These are beautiful. How'd you learn to draw like this?" "My grandmother. She'd sit me down every Sunday after church and we'd sketch together. She said, 'Baby girl, if you can see it in your mind, you can put it on paper. And if you can put it on paper, you can make it real.'" "She sounds wonderful." "She was." Amara smiled, the memory warm. "She passed 3 years ago, but every time I create something, I feel her with me. I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Ethan picked up a piece of emerald green silk, feeling its weight. "Try it," Amara said suddenly. "What?" "I have a sample jacket that needs fitting. Let me see if it works on you." She pulled a jacket from a nearby rack, deep navy with subtle gold stitching. It was meant for a client, but the measurements were close enough. "I don't know," Ethan said, but he was already shrugging off his Henley. Amara held up the jacket. He slipped his arms in. It was too tight across the shoulders. They both realized it at the same time and burst out laughing. "Okay, so maybe not," Amara said, trying to help him out of it. "I think I'm too broad," Ethan said, still laughing. "Your clients must be more elegant than me. Different builds, that's all." She hung the jacket back up, smiling. "But you tried." The laughter faded into something softer. They were standing close now, closer than they'd been before. Ethan's expression grew serious. "Thank you for letting me see this, for letting me understand." "You're welcome. I mean it. This matters. What you do matters." Amara felt something crack open in her chest, something guarded. "It does, and I won't ever let someone make me feel like it doesn't." "You shouldn't have to." Her phone buzzed on the work table. She glanced at it. A notification from Instagram. Someone had tagged her in a post. Her stomach dropped. It was the video from the gala, the one with Ethan's comment. But this time, it wasn't just in a private text chain. Someone had posted it to a local Atlanta community page with thousands of followers. The caption read, "This is what we're still dealing with in 2025. Rich white man says black skin isn't elegant." Thoughts? The comments were already rolling in. Amara's hands went cold. Ethan noticed the change immediately. "What's wrong?" She handed him the phone without a word. He read the post, his face going pale. He scrolled through the comments, some angry, some dismissive, some tagging Amara's business account. "Oh God," he whispered. "Amara, You should go," she said quietly. "Wait, let me... Ethan, please, just go." He looked at her, devastation written across his face, but he nodded. "I'm so sorry." After he left, Amara sank into her chair, staring at her phone. Talia was right. Words were easy, but the consequences of those words, those lasted. That night, Amara lay in bed, scrolling through the comments on the post. Most people were supportive of her, calling her beautiful and talented, but some questioned why she'd even been at the gala. Others made jokes. A few suggested she was overreacting, and then there were the comments about Ethan. Typical rich white boy. Bet he doesn't even realize what he said was wrong. Someone should call out his family's company. Amara closed the app. She couldn't look anymore. Her phone rang. Talia. "Did you see it?" Talia asked. "Yeah. People are on your side, Amara. They're defending you." "I know, but that's not the point." Amara sat up in bed. "The point is now I'm the black designer who got insulted at a gala. That's the story. Not my work, not my talent, just this. Then we control the narrative. Post something, show them your work." "I shouldn't have to." "I know, babe, I know. But if you don't, other people will tell your story for you." Amara knew Talia was right, but she was so tired. Tired of having to prove herself. Tired of having to be twice as good just to be seen as equal. Another text came through. "Ethan, I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now, but I want you to know I'm going to fix this. Not with PR, not with fake apologies. I'm going to own what I said. You deserve better than what I gave you. Amara stared at the message. Part of her wanted to believe him. Part of her wanted to block his number and never think about him again. But another part, the part that had felt something shift in the studio today, the part that had laughed with him and seen real remorse in his eyes, that part wasn't ready to give up yet. She didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, she opened Instagram and started drafting a post of her own. The next morning, Amara's post went live. It was a photo of her in the gold-amber gown from the gala, standing in her studio with her sketches visible in the background. The caption was short and powerful. Elegance isn't something you need the right light to see. It's something you carry with you. It's in how you honor your craft, your heritage, and your truth. I'm Amara Cole, and I design for women who know their worth. Thank you to everyone who sees it too. Within an hour, the post had hundreds of likes. Within 2 hours, thousands. Comments poured in, messages of support, requests for commissions, people sharing her work. Talia called, screaming into the phone, "Girl, you're trending!" "What? Trending? People are sharing your post everywhere. Look at your website traffic." Amara pulled up her analytics. Orders were coming in, interview requests, collaboration offers. Her phone kept buzzing. She couldn't keep up. One email stood out. It was from a boutique owner in Buckhead, one of Atlanta's wealthiest neighborhoods. "Miss Cole, I saw your work at the gala and your recent post. I'd love to discuss carrying your designs in my store. When can we meet?" Amara read it twice, her heart pounding. This was happening, really happening. But then she saw another notification. Someone had dug up Ethan's full name and tagged his family's company in a thread demanding an apology. The comments were brutal. "The Whitmores need to address this. Rich families always think they can say whatever they want. Ethan Whitmore should lose his job." Amara's stomach twisted. She didn't want him destroyed. She just wanted him to understand, to grow. There was a difference. She called Talia. "People are going after his family now." "Good. Maybe he'll finally understand what it's like to be scrutinized for existing." "Talia, I'm serious, Amara. Why are you worried about him? He said what he said. Now he's dealing with it. Because this isn't about revenge. It's about accountability. There's a difference." Talia sighed. "You're too good for this world." "I'm not good. I don't want to be the reason someone's life falls apart, even if they hurt me." After they hung up, Amara sat with her thoughts. She thought about Ethan in her studio, genuinely trying to understand. She thought about the books he'd bought, the way he'd listened. She thought about the look on his face when he realized the video had spread. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from him. "I'm not asking you to defend me, but I want you to know. I'm handling this. My way. I hope you'll see that I meant what I said." Amara didn't respond, but she didn't block him either. 3 days later, Amara was fitting a client when Talia burst into the studio, phone in hand. "You need to see this. I'm with someone. It's Ethan. He just posted something." Amara excused herself and followed Talia to the back room. Talia pulled up Ethan's Instagram, an account Amara hadn't even known existed. The post was a video, just him, sitting in what looked like his home office, talking directly to the camera. "Hi, I'm Ethan Whitmore and I need to say something." Amara's breath caught. "A few days ago, I said something incredibly ignorant at an event. I made a comment about black skin needing the right light to look elegant. It was wrong, it was hurtful, and it was rooted in a bias I didn't even realize I had." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I've spent the last few days reading, listening, and trying to understand why what I said was so damaging. Not because I want to look good, not because I'm trying to save my reputation, but because I was wrong and I need to do better." Amara felt tears prick her eyes. To Amara Cole, whose grace and talent I almost diminished with my carelessness, "I'm sorry. You deserved better." To everyone who heard my comment and felt unseen or disrespected, "I'm sorry. I'm committed to learning and growing. That's all I can promise right now." The video ended. Amara stared at the screen, her chest tight. "Damn," Talia whispered. "Yeah," Amara said softly. The comments on his post were mixed, some people accepting his apology, others skeptical, some still angry. But what struck Amara most was that he'd done it without tagging her, without asking her permission, or making it about him seeking her forgiveness publicly. He'd just owned it. Her phone rang, an unknown number. She answered hesitantly. "Hello? Ms. Cole? This is Gavin Hart. I'm the PR manager from the Gala. I wanted to reach out because I saw both your post and Ethan's video. I think there's an opportunity here. What kind of opportunity? We're planning a follow-up event. Smaller, more intimate. I'd love for you to be featured again. And if you're open to it, having you and Ethan appear together could show that reconciliation is possible. Good optics for everyone. Amara's stomach turned. So you want to use us? I want to show that people can grow. No thank you, Mr. Hart. I'm not interested in being anyone's optics. She hung up. Talia was grinning. That's my girl. Amara sat down, her mind racing. Ethan had done the right thing. Publicly, sincerely, without making her part of his redemption narrative. That meant something. She picked up her phone and finally responded to his last text. I saw your video. That took courage. Thank you. His response came within seconds. Can I see you? Just to talk. No cameras, no posts. Just us. Amara hesitated, her finger hovering over the keyboard. Then she typed, dinner. Tomorrow. You pick the place. But nowhere fancy. Somewhere real. I know just the spot. She set her phone down and exhaled. Talia looked at her. You sure about this? No, Amara admitted. But I think he's trying. And maybe that's worth something. Just be careful. I will. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the video in her mind. The sincerity in Ethan's voice, the way he hadn't made excuses. She thought about the studio visit, the laughter over the too-tight jacket, the way he'd looked at her work like it mattered. Maybe he wasn't perfect. Maybe he'd stumbled into her life with ignorance and carelessness. But maybe, just maybe, he was willing to become someone better. And wasn't that what hope was, believing people could change? She pulled out her grandmother's photo from her nightstand drawer. The old woman smiled back at her, wise and warm. People deserve a chance to do better, her grandmother used to say. Okay, Grandma, Amara whispered. One more chance. The restaurant Ethan chose was called Rosie's Corner, a tiny soul food spot tucked into a neighborhood Amara knew well. Red vinyl booths, checkered floors, and the smell of fried chicken and collard greens that made your mouth water before you even sat down. Music played softly from an old jukebox in the corner, Aretha Franklin singing about respect. Amara smiled when she walked in. He'd listened. This was real. This was home. Ethan was already there, sitting in a booth near the back. He stood when he saw her, nervous energy radiating from him. Hi, he said. Hi. She slid into the seat across from him. Good choice. I asked around. Someone at the office said this place had the best mac and cheese in Atlanta. They weren't lying. A waitress came over, an older black woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. What can I get you, babies? They ordered. Fried chicken, mac and cheese, greens, cornbread, comfort food that made everything feel a little less scary. When the waitress left, silence settled between them. I saw your video, Amara said finally. Ethan nodded. I needed to say it, publicly. Not for show, just because it was right. It was brave. It was necessary. He looked at her directly. I hurt you. I hurt people like you. I can't undo that, but I can own it. Amara stirred her sweet tea. You know what the hardest part was? What? That you didn't mean to hurt me. You weren't trying to be cruel, you just didn't think. And that's almost worse, because it means that kind of thinking is so normal to you that you didn't even notice. Ethan flinched, but he didn't look away. You're right, and I'm sorry for that. For all the times I didn't notice, for living in a world where I could say something like that and my friends didn't even blink. Are they still your friends? He paused. Some of them don't get why I'm making such a big deal out of this. They think I'm overreacting. And what do you think? I think they're part of the problem. And maybe I was too. The food arrived, steaming and perfect. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, the tension easing with each bite. This is incredible, Ethan said, his eyes wide. Amara laughed. First time having real soul food? Is it that obvious? A little. He grinned, and something warm spread through Amara's chest. When he smiled like that, genuine and unguarded, he looked different, younger, more real. Tell me about growing up, she said. I want to understand your world. Ethan set down his fork. Country clubs, private schools. Summers in Martha's Vineyard. My parents meant well, but everything was about image. Who you knew, where you went, what you wore. There wasn't much room for questioning things. Did you ever want to? Sometimes, but it was easier not to. Easier to just go along. He looked at her. Until I met you. I'm not that special. Yes, you are. His voice was quiet but firm. You walked into that room glowing. You presented your work with so much pride and grace. And you didn't need anyone's permission to be stunning, you just were. Amara felt her cheeks warm. Ethan, I'm not saying this to flirt. I'm saying it because it's true. You made me realize how small my world was, how much I was missing. She looked down at her plate, overwhelmed by the sincerity in his voice. Tell me about your grandmother, Ethan said, changing the subject gently. Amara smiled. She was everything. Strong, wise, funny. She taught me that beauty isn't something you buy, it's something you create. She'd take scraps of fabric and turn them into magic, like you do. I try. She set the bar pretty high. I wish I could have met her. She would have liked you. Amara paused. Eventually, after she finished interrogating you. They both laughed. Outside the window, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The restaurant was filling up with the dinner crowd. Families, couples, groups of friends. Laughter and conversation filled the air. Can I ask you something? Ethan said. Sure. Why did you give me another chance? After everything? Amara thought about it. Because my grandmother taught me that people deserve the opportunity to do better. One opportunity. What they do with it shows who they really are. And what do you think I'm doing with it? She met his eyes. I think you're trying, and that matters more than you know. His expression softened. I don't want to let you down. Then don't. They finished dinner slowly, talking about everything and nothing. His work as an event planner, her dreams of opening a boutique, their favorite movies, the places they wanted to travel. It felt easy, natural. When the check came, Ethan grabbed it quickly. I can pay for myself, Amara said. I know you can, but let me do this. Please. She relented, watching him with the waitress, the way he thanked her sincerely and left a generous tip. Outside, the evening air was warm and sweet. They walked slowly toward the parking lot, neither of them in a hurry to leave. Can I see you again? Ethan asked. Not because of the gala or the video or anything else, just because I want to. Amara looked up at him. In the fading light, he looked hopeful, vulnerable. Maybe, she said softly. Then she smiled. Actually, yes, you can. His face lit up. Really? Really, but Ethan? Yeah? This is about us. Not about your image or my brand or anyone else. If we do this, it has to be real. I want real, he said. I've never wanted anything more. They stood there for a moment, the world moving around them but feeling far away. Good night, Amara. Good night, Ethan. She drove home with her heart beating faster than it should, a smile she couldn't quite suppress, tugging at her lips. Over the next week, Ethan and Amara fell into an easy rhythm. Text messages throughout the day, photos of things that made them think of each other. Ethan sent her a picture of a sunset with the caption, "Reminds me of your gold dress." She sent him a photo of fabric swatches with "Trying to match your eyes," harder than it looks. They talked on the phone late at night, conversations that stretched past midnight about dreams and fears and everything in between. Talia noticed the change immediately. "You're glowing," she said one afternoon at the studio. "I am not." "Girl, you've been smiling at your phone for 10 minutes. You're glowing." Amara tried to hide her grin. "He's different than I expected." "Good different?" "Yeah, good different. Just be careful. The internet hasn't forgotten." It was true. The original video still circulated occasionally, though less frequently now. Some people praised Ethan's apology. Others remained skeptical. A few suggested Amara was naive for giving him any attention. She tried not to read the comments. One afternoon, Ethan sent her a photo of a fabric store. "Saw this and thought of you. Can I bring you something?" She replied, "Deep burgundy silk, if they have it." An hour later, he showed up at her studio with 3 different shades of burgundy silk, unsure which one she'd meant. Amara laughed when she opened the door. "You bought all of them. I didn't want to get it wrong." She invited him in, examining each piece. "This one," she said, holding up the darkest shade. "This is perfect. What will you make with it?" "I'm not sure yet, but when I figure it out, you'll be the first to know." He helped her organize fabric for an hour, learning the names of different materials, asking questions about her process. He was genuinely interested, and it showed. "You're a good student," Amara said. "I have a good teacher." They were standing close now, close enough that Amara could smell his cologne, something clean and woodsy, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his blue eyes. "Amara," he said softly. "Yeah? I really want to kiss you right now." Her breath caught. "Then why don't you?" He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. But she didn't want to. Their lips met softly, tentatively. The kiss was gentle and sweet, full of question marks and promises. When they pulled apart, Amara's heart was racing. "Wow," Ethan whispered. "Yeah," she agreed. "Wow." Her phone buzzed, breaking the moment. A notification from Instagram. She glanced at it, and her smile faded. It was a DM from Marcus Hale, her old collaborator, the man who'd once told her she was good for a local designer like it was a compliment. "Saw you at the gala. Looks like you finally got into the right rooms. Congrats." The message felt oily, condescending. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked. "Nothing, just someone from my past." "Bad someone? Complicated someone?" She pocketed her phone. "He's a designer I used to work with. He never really took me seriously." "His loss." Amara smiled, but the message had unsettled her. Marcus had a way of making her doubt herself, of suggesting her success came from luck rather than talent. "Want to grab coffee?" Ethan asked. "Clear your head." "Actually, I have to meet him tomorrow. Small order he wants to place." Ethan's expression shifted. "Do you want me to come with you?" "No, I can handle Marcus, but thank you." They stood there for another moment, the earlier warmth now tinged with something else. "I should go," Ethan said. "Let you work." "Okay." At the door he turned back. "For what it's worth, you're the most talented designer I've ever met, and I've met a lot through my work. Thank you." After he left, Amara stood in her studio, touching her lips where his kiss still lingered. She was falling for him, really falling. And that scared her more than anything. The next day, Amara met Marcus at a coffee shop downtown. He looked the same. Designer clothes, expensive watch, that smile that never quite reached his eyes. "Amara," he said, standing to greet her. "You look good." "Thanks, you too." They sat down and Marcus got straight to business. "I need 6 custom pieces for a client. Nothing too elaborate. You have time?" "Depends on the timeline." 2 months? "I can do that." "Good." He sipped his coffee. "So, the gala. That was quite a night for you." Amara kept her expression neutral. "It was a good opportunity. Especially with that whole incident. Got people talking about you." There it was. The insinuation. "People are talking about my work," Amara said calmly. "That's what matters." Sure. But you have to admit the controversy helped. Publicity is publicity." Amara set down her cup. "Marcus, are you suggesting I only got attention because of what happened? I'm just saying sometimes you need a hook, and you got one." Her jaw tightened. "My work speaks for itself." "Of course it does. I'm just saying, I know what you're saying." Amara stood up. "And I don't need your order. I have plenty of clients who respect me." "Amara, come on. Don't be sensitive." "I'm not being sensitive. I'm being smart. Goodbye, Marcus." She walked out, her hands shaking with anger. Outside, she leaned against the building, taking deep breaths. How dare he suggest her success came from scandal? How dare he minimize everything she'd worked for? Her phone rang. "Ethan," she answered, her voice still tight. "Hi." "Hey, how'd it go?" "It didn't. He's the same as he always was." "What do you mean?" She told him about the conversation, about Marcus's insinuations. "What an ass," Ethan said, anger clear in his voice. "Your talent has nothing to do with that video." "I know, but it still hurts. Having someone suggest I needed controversy to succeed. You didn't need it, you were already succeeding. That's why you were at the gala in the first place." His words calmed her, grounded her. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For seeing me, really seeing me. Always." That evening, Ethan showed up at her studio with takeout and flowers, simple daisies, nothing flashy. "What's this?" Amara asked. "Dinner, and a reminder that you're brilliant." They ate on the floor of her studio, surrounded by her creations. They talked about Marcus, about Ethan's family, about the pressure of other people's expectations. "My mom asked about you yesterday," Ethan said. Amara's eyebrows rose. "What did she say?" "She asked if I was seeing someone. I told her I was. She asked who. I told her your name." And she went quiet. Then she said, "The designer from the gala." I said yes. She said she'd like to meet you sometime. Amara's stomach flipped. "Did she really?" "She did. But I told her we'd take things slow, no pressure." "Thank you. I know it's complicated. My family, they're not bad people, but they're traditional, image conscious. It might take time for them to understand. And if they don't," Ethan looked at her seriously, "then they'll have to accept that I'm choosing you." Amara's breath caught. "Ethan, I mean it. I'm not doing this halfway, Amara. I'm all in." She reached for his hand, threading her fingers through his. "I'm scared. Me too. What if this doesn't work?" What if it does? They sat there, hands clasped, surrounded by fabric and dreams, and the beginnings of something real. Later, when the food was gone and the conversation had lulled into comfortable silence, Ethan stood up and offered his hand. "Dance with me. There's no music. So, we'll make our own." Amara laughed but took his hand. They swayed together in the middle of her studio. No music except the sound of their breathing and the city humming outside the windows. "This is nice," she whispered. "This is perfect." He pulled her closer, and she rested her head against his chest. His heartbeat was steady, reassuring. For the first time in weeks, Amara felt truly at peace. But then, her phone lit up on the work table. Another notification. Another repost of the original video, this time on a larger page. The caption read, "Remember this? Local socialite Ethan Whitmore insulted black designer Amara Cole. Now they're reportedly dating. Thoughts?" The comments were already flooding in. "She forgave him that fast. Money talks, I guess. This feels like a PR relationship. Black women always choosing white men who disrespect us." Amara's hands went cold. Ethan saw it too. "Don't read those. Too late. Amara, they think I'm doing this for money, or for publicity. They think I'm betraying other black women by being with you. That's not true, but that's what they think." She pulled away from him, suddenly feeling exposed. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm being naive. "You're not naive. You're giving me a chance to be better. That's brave. Or stupid." "No." He cupped her face gently. "Never stupid. You're the smartest, strongest person I know." Tears pricked her eyes. "I don't want to be the black woman who forgives racism for a relationship. That's not who I am." "Then don't be. Be the woman who believed someone could change and gave them the space to prove it. There's a difference." She looked at him, searching his face for any sign of doubt or insincerity. All she saw was him. Really him. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know. So am I. But I'm not going anywhere." She leaned into him, letting herself be held. Outside, the night deepened. The city lights twinkled. And in that small studio, surrounded by dreams-made fabric, two people chose each other despite the noise. But the noise was getting louder, and soon they'd have to face it head on. The next morning, Amara woke up to dozens of notifications. The post had gone viral overnight. Thousands of comments, hundreds of shares, her name and Ethan's name trending together. She scrolled through the comments with a sinking stomach. Some people supported them. Some people questioned her judgment. Some people said cruel things about both of them. Talia called. "Have you seen it?" "Yeah." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." "You could make a statement. Explain." "I shouldn't have to explain who I love." The word hung in the air. Love. Was that what this was? "Amara?" Talia's voice was gentle. "Do you love him?" "I don't know. Maybe. I'm starting to." "Then screw what everyone else thinks." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because loving someone who'd hurt people like her felt dangerous. Because it felt like choosing him meant abandoning her community. Because the world was watching, and their opinions felt like weights." "I need to think," Amara said. After she hung up, she sat in her apartment staring at her phone. Ethan had texted, "I saw it. I'm sorry. Let me know if you want to talk." She didn't respond yet. She needed space, time to breathe. But even as she thought that, she missed him. Missed his smile, his sincerity, the way he looked at her like she hung the moon. This was messy, complicated, scary. But maybe that's what real love was. Not perfect, not easy, just real, and worth fighting for. 3 days passed. 3 days of silence between them while the internet raged and opinions flew like arrows. Amara threw herself into work. She had commissions to finish, sketches to complete, fabric to cut. The studio became her refuge again, the one place where nothing else mattered except the creation in front of her. But even there, she couldn't escape her thoughts. Talia visited every day, bringing food and support. She didn't push, didn't ask questions Amara wasn't ready to answer. She just sat there, a steady presence while Amara worked. On the 3rd day, Talia finally spoke. "You know you're allowed to be happy, right?" Amara's needle paused mid-stitch. "What?" "Happy. With him. Despite everything, you're allowed. It doesn't feel like it. Because of what strangers on the internet think. Because of what it represents." Amara set down her work. "If I'm with him, people will say I'm forgiving racism. They'll say I'm choosing white approval over my community." "Are you?" "No, but that's what it looks like." Talia moved closer, Let me ask you something. When you're with him, how do you feel? Amara thought about it, about the way Ethan listened, the way he'd shown up at her studio with burgundy silk, the way he kissed her like she was precious, the way he'd publicly owned his mistake without dragging her into it. Safe, she said quietly. Seen, like I matter. Then that's your answer. But no buts. You spent your whole life fighting to be seen, and now someone sees you, really sees you, and you're going to walk away because of what other people think. Amara's eyes filled with tears. What if I'm making a mistake? What if you're not? What if this is exactly what you're supposed to do? Love someone brave enough to change. Show the world that growth is possible. That's a lot of pressure. Love always is. Talia squeezed her hand. But you're strong enough. You've always been strong enough. After Talia left, Amara sat alone in the quiet studio. The burgundy silk Ethan had bought her was draped over a dress form, waiting to become something. She picked up her phone and finally read through all his messages. I miss you. I understand if you need space. Just know I'm here when you're ready. No pressure, just, I'm here. Her heart ached. He wasn't pushing, wasn't demanding, just waiting. She typed, "Can you come over?" His response was immediate. On my way. 20 minutes later, there was a knock on the studio door. Amara opened it. Ethan stood there looking tired, worried, but his face lit up when he saw her. "Hi," he said. "Hi." They stood there for a moment just looking at each other. "I'm sorry," Amara said, "for disappearing. You don't have to apologize. I know this is hard. Come in." He followed her inside. The studio felt different with him there, warmer, more alive. "I've been thinking," Amara said, turning to face him, "about us, about what this means." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Okay. I'm scared, Ethan. Scared of what people think. Scared of making the wrong choice. Scared of hurting my community by being with you. I understand. But I'm also scared of walking away from something real because of fear." She stepped closer. "You've shown me you can change. You've done the work, and I care about you. More than I thought I would." His eyes softened. "I care about you too, so much. So here's what I need from you." Her voice was steady now, sure. "I need you to keep growing, keep learning, keep proving that what happened at the gala was the beginning of change, not the end of it. I will, I promise. And I need you to understand that this won't be easy. People will judge us, question us. We'll have to be strong enough to handle that. Together," Ethan said. "We'll handle it together." "Together," Amara echoed. He reached for her hand. "I know I can't undo what I said, but I can spend every day making sure you know how extraordinary you are, how much I see you, how much you'll matter." Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. "You really mean that? Every word?" She pulled him close, and they held each other in the middle of her studio, surrounded by fabric and dreams and the promise of something new. "I don't want to hide," Amara whispered. "I don't want to sneak around or pretend this isn't real." "Then we won't. We'll face everything head on." She pulled back to look at him. "Even your family?" He nodded. "Especially my family." 2 days later, Amara stood outside the Whitmore family home in Buckhead, her heart hammering against her ribs. The house was massive, white columns, perfectly manicured lawn, the kind of place that belonged in magazines. Ethan squeezed her hand. "You ready?" "Not even a little. My mom is nervous too, I think that helps." "Does she know about everything?" "She knows, and she wants to meet you anyway." They walked up to the front door. Before Ethan could knock, it opened. Vivian Whitmore stood there, elegant, poised, with Ethan's eyes and a carefully neutral expression. "Mom," Ethan said, "this is Amara." "Miss Cole." Vivian extended her hand. "Please come in." The house was as beautiful inside as out. High ceilings, expensive art, furniture that looked like it had never been sat on. They settled in the sitting room, Amara and Ethan on one sofa, Vivian across from them in an armchair. "Thank you for inviting me," Amara said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Of course." Vivian folded her hands in her lap. "Ethan speaks very highly of you. He speaks highly of you too." A small smile crossed Vivian's face. "I wanted to meet you because my son cares about you, and because I owe you an apology." Amara blinked. "I'm sorry? I raised Ethan in a world that didn't always see beyond itself. I taught him to care about appearances, about what people thought. I didn't teach him to question those things, to see the harm in careless words." Vivian's voice was quiet but sincere. "What he said at the gala, that came from our world, from the values I passed down without examining them, and for that, I'm sorry." Amara felt something shift in her chest. This wasn't what she'd expected. "Thank you," she said. "That means a lot." "I saw your presentation that night," Vivian continued, "and I saw the way you carried yourself afterward. With such grace, such strength. You could have made a scene. You could have torn Ethan apart publicly, but you didn't. I believe in second chances. Clearly. And my son is lucky for that." Vivian looked at Ethan. "I've watched him change these past weeks. He's reading books I never thought he'd open, asking questions I never thought he'd ask. He's becoming someone better. Because of you." Ethan reached for Amara's hand. "I can't promise I'll always understand," Vivian said, "or that this will be easy. People in our circle will talk, they'll question, they'll judge." "They already are," Amara said quietly. "I know, but I want you to know that you're welcome in this home. Not because of optics, not because I'm trying to look progressive, but because you make my son happy, and because you carry yourself with more dignity than most people in our world could ever manage." Tears pricked Amara's eyes. "Thank you, Mrs. Whitmore. Please, call me Vivian." They talked for another hour, about Amara's work, about Vivian's charity projects, about small things that built bridges between their different worlds. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward moments, careful phrasings, things left unsaid, but it was a beginning. As they left, Vivian pulled Amara aside. "One more thing. Yes, my son said something foolish, but he's trying to do better. That takes courage. Don't let the world talk you out of seeing that." Amara smiled. "I won't." In the car, Ethan exhaled deeply. "That went better than I expected. Your mum is not what I thought she'd be. She surprised me too. I think she's been doing her own thinking since the gala. Growth runs in the family," he grinned, apparently. They drove to a quiet restaurant. Not fancy, not flashy, just good food and soft lighting. They talked about the dinner, about Vivian, about everything, and nothing. "There's something coming up," Ethan said as they finished dessert. "Another gala, smaller than the last one. The organizers asked if I'd attend." Amara's stomach tightened. "And?" "I said yes, but only if you come with me, as my date." Publicly, she set down her fork. "Ethan, I know it's a lot to ask. I know people will talk, but I want to walk into that room with you, hold your hand, show everyone that I'm not ashamed, that this is real. What if it makes things worse? What if it makes things better? What if people see us together and realize that growth is possible, that love can come from complicated places?" Amara thought about it, about the first gala, about his careless words, about everything that had happened since. "Okay," she said finally. Really? But Ethan, I'm wearing one of my designs, and I'm walking in there proud. Not as your redemption story, not as proof you've changed, just as me. I wouldn't want it any other way." The night of the gala arrived faster than Amara expected. She stood in her apartment, staring at herself in the mirror. The dress she'd made from Ethan's burgundy silk fit perfectly, elegant, sophisticated, powerful. Her hair was styled in natural curls that framed her face. Her grandmother's earrings glinted in the light. "You look like royalty," Talia said from the doorway. "I feel like I'm about to walk into battle." "Maybe you are. But you're going to win." Ethan picked her up in a simple black car. No limousine, no show, just him in a tuxedo, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. "You're breathtaking," he said. "You clean up nice yourself." They drove to the venue, a smaller hotel ballroom, elegant but understated. Ethan parked and turned to her. "We can still leave if you want." "I don't want to leave. I want to do this." "Then let's do it." He got out and opened her door, offering his hand. She took it, feeling the warmth of his palm against hers. They walked into the venue together, hand in hand. People noticed immediately. Whispers started. Heads turned. Someone pulled out their phone. Amara kept her chin up, her shoulders back. She belonged here. She'd always belonged here. Ethan squeezed her hand. "You okay?" "I'm perfect." They mingled with other guests. Some people were polite but distant. Some were genuinely warm. A few gave them looks that made their opinions clear. But Amara didn't shrink. She talked about her work with pride. She laughed at jokes. She held Ethan's hand without hesitation. At one point, someone, a middle-aged white man Ethan knew from business, made a comment about the incident. Ethan didn't miss a beat. "I said something ignorant. Amara showed me I was wrong. Her work redefined elegance for me. I'm grateful she gave me the chance to learn." The man blinked, unsure how to respond. Amara smiled. "We all grow when we're willing to listen." They moved on. Later, during the dinner portion, the MC mentioned Amara's work, how several guests had commissioned pieces after seeing her at previous events. People applauded. Real applause, not polite obligation. Amara felt something warm spread through her chest. Recognition. Not because of scandal, not because of controversy, because of her talent. After dinner, soft music started playing. Couples moved to the dance floor. Ethan stood and offered his hand. "Dance with me?" "Always." They moved onto the floor together. The music was slow and sweet, an old jazz standard about love and second chances. Ethan pulled her close. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking me. I meant what I said before. You were the most elegant person at that first gala. You still are." "Ethan." He kissed her, softly, tenderly, right there in the middle of the dance floor, with everyone watching. When they pulled apart, Amara was smiling. "That was very public," she whispered. "Good. I want everyone to know how I feel about you. And how's that? Like I'm the luckiest person in this room." They danced through 2 more songs, wrapped up in each other, the rest of the world fading into background noise. When the gala ended, they walked out together past whispers and cameras and curious eyes. They got into the car and drove through Atlanta's quiet streets. "That wasn't so bad," Amara said. "No, it was perfect." He drove her to her studio instead of her apartment. "I thought you might want to check on things. You know me well." Inside the studio, Amara kicked off her heels and moved to her work table. New orders had come in during the day, 3 commissions from women who'd seen her at events. "Your brand is growing," Ethan said, looking over her shoulder. "It is, because of the work, because people finally see what I can do. They always should have." She turned to face him. "You know what I realized tonight?" "What?" "I'm not the black woman who forgave racism for a relationship. I'm the black woman who demanded better and got it. I'm the woman who refused to let one moment define me. I'm the woman who built a business, changed lives, and loved bravely despite what anyone thought." Ethan's eyes shone. "You're extraordinary. We're extraordinary. Together." He pulled her close and they swayed together in the studio. No music, just the sound of the city outside and their hearts beating in sync. "I love you," Ethan said softly. "I should have said it before. I love you, Amara Cole." Amara felt tears prick her eyes. "I love you too, even though you made the worst first impression in history." He laughed. "I really did. But you fixed it. You grew. You became someone I could love, and I'll keep growing. Every day. I promise." They stood there, wrapped in each other, surrounded by fabric and dreams and the life they were building together. 6 months later, Amara stood in her new boutique, a beautiful space in Midtown with tall windows and exposed brick. The sign outside read, "Amara Cole Designs" in elegant gold lettering. The grand opening was packed. Women of all ages and backgrounds browsed the racks, touching the fabrics with reverence. Several had already made purchases. The energy was electric, joyful, alive. Talia stood near the register, beaming. "You did it, girl. You actually did it." "We did it," Amara corrected. "I couldn't have done this without you." Ethan arrived with flowers, a massive bouquet of sunflowers and roses. "These are gorgeous," Amara said, accepting them. "Not as gorgeous as you or this place. Amara, this is incredible. Thank you for believing in me. Always." Vivian arrived an hour later, dressed elegantly and carrying a bottle of champagne. "For the owner," she said warmly. "Thank you, Vivian. I'm proud of you, truly." Vivian looked around the boutique. "This is more than a store. It's a statement. That's what I hoped for." They popped the champagne and toasted to new beginnings, to growth, to love that transformed. As the day wound down and the last customers filtered out, Amara stood in the middle of her boutique, taking it all in. Ethan wrapped his arms around her from behind. "How does it feel?" "Like everything I dreamed of." "You deserve it. Every bit of it." She turned in his arms. "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "I built this. Not because of scandal, not because of controversy, just because I'm talented and determined and I refuse to give up. And because you're brilliant. That too." She kissed him softly. "Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for giving me the chance." They stood there as the sun set outside, painting the boutique in golden light. The journey hadn't been easy. There were still people who questioned them, still comments online, still moments of doubt. But they'd chosen each other anyway, chosen growth, chosen love, and that choice had transformed everything. That evening, they sat in Amara's studio, now a workspace above the boutique. She was sketching new designs while Ethan read beside her, occasionally looking up to watch her work. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, noticing his smile. "That first gala. How differently things could have gone. Regret saying what you said? I regret the words, but I don't regret where they led us. He set down his book. You made me better, Amara. You made me see the world differently, see myself differently. You did the work. I just gave you the space. You gave me more than space. You gave me hope that people can change, that mistakes don't have to be endings. They can be beginnings if you're brave enough. Amara set down her pencil and moved to sit beside him. My grandmother used to say that elegance isn't about perfection. It's about how you carry your story. The messy parts, the hard parts, the growing parts. She sounds wise. She was, and she would have loved you. Eventually. Eventually? After she made sure you really meant it. They laughed together, the sound filling the studio. Outside, Atlanta hummed with life. Inside, two people who'd found each other in the messiest way possible held each other close. Love hadn't been neat or simple or easy, but it had been real. And real, Amara had learned, was always worth fighting for. What's next? Ethan asked. Amara smiled. Everything, new designs, new dreams, new adventures. Together? Together. He kissed her forehead, and she leaned into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. They'd started with a careless comment and a glowing entrance. They'd survived public scrutiny, private doubts, and the hard work of genuine change. And now they stood on the other side. Not perfect, but honest. Not without scars, but stronger for them. In her studio, surrounded by the fabric of dreams she'd woven into reality, Amara Cole knew one thing for certain. Elegance wasn't about the right light or the right words or the right circumstances. It was about carrying your truth with grace, about loving bravely, about believing that people, imperfect, messy, complicated people, could choose to be better. And that's exactly what they'd done. Together. The end.